When people tell me that money doesn't buy happiness, I always say, yeah, there might be some truth to that, but surely crying in a Ferrari hurts a little less. And honestly, I'd just like the chance to find out for myself. But what if I had $1 billion? Would I still be a humble person? Or would I look at warehouse workers needing bathroom breaks as an efficiency problem? This got me thinking, what does a massive amount of money actually do to a person? Right now, if I get a parking ticket, I'm annoyed for the rest of the day. But if that same ticket is less than a rounding error, do I ever check the meter again? Can extreme wealth physically rewire your brain? Before we go further, a quick disclaimer. This video is not about politics. We are purely looking at what large amounts of money do to the human brain. Recently, for the first time in history, individual wealth crossed $1 trillion. A 1 with 12 zeros. If you spent $1 million every single day, it would take roughly 2,700 years to spend $1 trillion. So does money make you happy? Up to a point, yes. Below a certain income, financial stress takes up headspace and narrows cognitive bandwidth. Removing that is simply the removal of suffering. Go higher, and life gets comfortable options, security, buffers. But higher still, returns flatten. A millionaire buys a nice house. A billionaire buys influence, media, and leverage. The difference? 1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 years. Somewhere between buying a house and buying leverage, something changes in how you see others. Psychologist Paul Piff at UC Berkeley studied this. In one study, participants were left alone with a jar of candy explicitly labeled for children in a nearby lab. Higher income participants took twice as much candy. In crosswalk experiments, drivers of expensive luxury vehicles were 3 to 4 times more likely to cut off pedestrians than drivers of modest cars. And in rigged Monopoly games where one player received double money and extra dice, the winners always attributed their victory to strategy, never the unfair advantage. Piff summarized it with a simple image. Picture a ladder with wealth at the top. The higher you climb, the more entitlement and self-interest increase, while compassion and empathy decrease. Every step in either direction moves both levers simultaneously. Is this behavior a conscious choice, or is something happening at a neurological level? Neuroscientist Sukhvinder Obi studied the brain's mirror neuron system, the neural circuit that fires when you observe others. It is the biological engine of empathy, allowing you to feel what others feel. Obi found that when people are given a sense of power, activity in this mirroring system drops measurably and significantly. The brain under the influence of power becomes physically less capable of simulating the experiences of others. The more power, the quieter the system becomes. A 2025 study published in Molecular Psychiatry scanned over 35,000 brains and found measurable differences in the physical structure of regions controlling communication, empathy, and decision-making in higher-income individuals. Not just reduced activity, structural rewiring. The shift is gradual and invisible. Money functions as a critical, feedback mechanism. It tells you when you've done something wrong, when a cost is too high, or when a risk isn't worth taking. That's the parking meter. That's the ticket that stings. In Finland, traffic fines are calculated as a percentage of your income, so the consequence stings everyone equally. $200 to someone earning $2,000 a month stings enough to change behavior. But to a billionaire, that $200 ticket is 0.00002% of their wealth, less than the interest earned while reading the ticket. When consequences stop feeling real, behavior changes quietly without announcement. You don't decide to stop caring about the meter, you just stop noticing it. A fine that would devastate most people registers as a rounding error, not even a speed bump, just the cost of a Tuesday. This is where the neuroscience and psychology connect. The drivers cutting off pedestrians, the monopoly winners claiming strategic brilliance, none of them are consciously evil. The mirror neuron activity is lower, the feedback loop is broken, and the whole system runs automatically below conscious awareness. Which brings us to the trillion-dollar question: what does that scale actually feel like? Probably nothing. Not empty nothing, nothing as in the numbers have stopped meaning anything. The parking meter, the fine, the consequence, all gone. What's left isn't happiness or unhappiness. It's just scale. The first trillionaire isn't a cartoon villain. Neuroscience doesn't care about the individual, it cares about what someone at that level tells us about the human brain. The brain is shaped by its environment, and no environment is more distorting than one where nothing registers. Money buys happiness up to a point where financial suffering disappears. After that, it buys options, security, and eventually absolute leverage. But what extreme wealth quietly extracts along the way might be more interesting than anything it can purchase. Because at extreme scale, the real trade-off isn't political or financial, it's biological. In the process of insulating yourself from every inconvenience, you gradually deactivate the exact neural hardware that allows you to connect with everyone else. So next time you get a parking ticket and feel that stinger of annoyance, remember, that sting is proof that your brain is still connected to the real world.